where does the rest of the world see India today? When I say India, I mean its progress, its future, and perhaps the issues that stand in the way of its progress. As we stand today, India is participating in a way that is sweeping the world, and that is the reshaping of the economies of the developing world. We in India are not insular or inward looking, but we tend to focus on what the developed world is doing rather than what is happening in the emerging markets around us. In some ways, therefore, we need to make sure that we are comparing apples to apples in terms of who India should compare itself with. For example, the International Monetary Fund expects developing countries to grow at 6.6% next year, the fastest pace in 30 years. Countries such as Brazil, Russia, and South Africa are booming. The Middle East and even parts of Africa are enjoying high oil prices. Low global interest rates have reduced their service costs, and the fall of the United States dollar has improved the competitiveness of those countries whose currency follow the greenback as most of Asia does. Unlike previous booms, emerging economies have improved their fundamentals, financial health, introduced microeconomic policy and structural reform to enjoy a sustainable period of growth. Collectively, the developing world has run a current account surplus for 6 consecutive years after being in deficit for the previous 20. Unlike previous debt financed booms, which were invariably followed by some financial crisis, the current expansion are financed largely by domestic savings. Foreign debts is falling, forex reserves are rising, and many emerging economies use floating rates instead of fixed exchange rates, which have often been a contributor to vast financial outflows. So, to put things in perspective, India in some ways is only keeping pace with the progress of much of the developing world. It is not the star of the pack, China definitely is, but it is not the laggard either. Although we in India see our progress and our country as something special, every other developing country sees itself in the same way. What does the future hold for this phenomenon of developing countries literally rising from the ashes? There are eight trends which are helping to create self sustaining market dynamics across the developing world. I call them the eight catalysts of ultimate contagion, and they are technological innovation, expanded credit availability, tax reform, improved educational opportunities, institutionalized property rights, deregulations and foreign direct investment, wider distribution of wealth, and parents' desire for their children's success. Firstly, technological innovation, low cost broadband access, wireless connectivity, and things like that are the key to a regulatory framework that encourage competition. It has been demonstrated that advancing a country's telecom infrastructure directly correlated with growth. South Korea is the star example of a telecom framework.